You're listening to the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring attorney, guest, and former felony prosecutor Eric Faddis.
Let's take a look at his daughter talking about Lori's kids, because if you're living there with dad and dad's got the girlfriend or wife, and she had kids, they knew about it. How much questioning do you do when suddenly those kids are no longer present? Let's take a look.
So it's your understanding that at the Knott's Berry Farm trip, Lori Vallow came from another direction. Is that correct?
Yes.
She didn't participate in the travel plans with you to California. Is that correct?
Yes.
At any time, without telling me what she said, was the topic of the location of the children discussed with her?
Yes.
Okay. At any time, did you and your father ever discuss his knowledge of where the children might be?
Yes.
Okay. What do you understand your father's knowledge of where the children were located during the time that investigators were looking for them?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
Overruled. Go ahead.
From my understanding, and from I was told that the children were in a safe place.
Okay. And was that understanding through your discussions with your dad?
Yes.
Again, taught really not to question a whole lot. Oh, they're in a safe place. I mean, number one, that's a weird thing to say. Where? They're not like, oh, it's over with Aunt Judy or what. It's like, they're in a safe place.
Yeah, they're not at the YMCA.
Yeah, moving on. We're not going to talk about what it's a weird way to answer a question, but again, these kids, I think, were brought up in a fairly brainwashed household, and they don't question that. If dad says they're safe, they're safe. What are your thoughts?
The way it hits me is that's an answer. That's like a vague, non-falsifiable answer that someone can sort of give when they're trying to just convey like, hey, it's cool, stop talking about it. Mm-hmm. That was kind of my take on that statement from Chad Daybell to his kid.
Yeah, a rather bizarre one. His son also took the stand this week, Chad Daybell's son, talking about his experience with finding his mom dead in the other room. Well, originally, he had testified about being on the couch, and he's saying, no, wait, I never said that, but he did. This is a testimony talking about that experience he had with finding mom dead.
How were you awoken?
I heard my dad saying, Garth, get up. I need help.
Okay.
And I got out of bed and ran over to help.
And then when you walked into your parents' bedroom, what exactly did you observe?
I observed my mother had rolled partially out of bed with her legs entangled in the sheets. And my instinct was, oh, she needs help. So I immediately grabbed her by the shoulders and lifted her up back into the bed. Okay.
And at that point, you felt her arms were cold?
Yeah, I felt she was cold and stiff, and she was gray, and I realized she's not been breathing.
Okay. And at some point between the time you got home at 1 o'clock and the time you went to sleep at about 3 o'clock, did you hear anything or any indication that there was any kind of sound or struggle?
I heard nothing.
Okay. And would you agree that it's close enough that if there was some kind of a struggle or a fight or anything that you would have heard it?
I would have definitely heard it.
Thing is, if you asphyxiate someone with, like, say, a pillow over their head, probably not going to hear it, because there was never evidence of a fight or anything like that. It was asphyxiation. Thoughts on his testimony?
Yeah, I mean, certainly facts that, if true, are helpful for the defense. But one perception I have is he's too quick with the answers, and he's too complete, and the answers are coming so quickly. When you have a witness on the stand who you prepped but haven't rehearsed everything with, they sometimes they ask for clarification, or they might give an answer you don't expect, or go down a tangent or something. All of these child witnesses are to the point that's like they know every question that's going to be asked and they know the answers they're supposed to give.
Well, it was John Pryor asking it, so you got to assume they probably had been prepped a bit on it. And again, I
seems like too much prep to me.
Yeah, I think. I think if you go deeper on it, it goes back to that just kind of like absolute loyalty, absolute, compliance. They're pretty good at following those directions. They just sound like robots, and it doesn't come across as very authentic. One more here. I got to get your reaction as an attorney, because this is the part where John Pryor kind of Freudian slip. Let's take a look.
Dr. Raven, Ms. Blake went over a litany of other reports and statements from other witnesses, a variety of other documents. When a forensic pathologist is examining a variety of other documents that are not related to the medical reports and the scientific evidence, is that an example of confirmation bias?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
Overruled.
Is that an example of confirmation bias when you take into account all of these other reports, documents, statements of people who were not present at the murder?
Who were not present at the murder. As he's trying to argue that it was not a murder. People slip up. I know that. We've been talking, I could see how it could just be, the word murder's been used over and over here and you accidentally say it out loud. But was it that?
Yeah, it's hard to say. And, candidly, I've seen attorneys slip up on issues like that before when, the prosecution has called it an assault the whole time and defense, characterizes as an assault and a question, whatever. So it could be that, but it also could be, that he's got some background info and that's the way his brain sort of had that output.
I think there's already a big question of Chad Daybell getting another trial out of this due to his representation not being adequate. Does that add another layer to that being an argument at some point?
Yeah, it certainly is part of what the defense may see as errors that happened within this trial and errors with defense counsel. Is it going to, in and of itself, result in a new trial if there's a conviction? Probably not.
No.
But when it's compounded with all of the other alleged mistakes of defense counsel, sometimes that can reach the threshold.
Yeah, it's just another piece to add to that one if we see a redo of all of this.
Want to listen ad-free? Want advanced access to all of our interviews before anyone else?
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
You get every episode commercial-free.
So you can binge on true crime
until you can binge no more.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts now, or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast next.